Q.
Assalamu alaikum students. Now we are going to discuss about ulna. Ulna is the medial bone of forearm and it's homologous with the fibula of the lower limb. Ulna is again a long bone which has an upper end, a lower end and a shaft. The upper end has two processes, two notches and a tuberosity. So this is a process which is known as the olecranon process. This is the process which is known as the coronoid process. There is a notch in between the olecranon and coronoid process which is known as the trochlear notch, where the trochlea of the humerus articulates to form the elbow joint. And over the lateral aspect we have another notch which is known as the radial notch, which articulates with the head of radius to form the superior radioulnar joint. Here we have a tuberosity, a roughened area which is known as the ulnar tuberosity. Olecranon process has 5 surfaces: superior surface, anterior surface, medial surface, lateral surface and a posterior surface. Same as we have coronoid process which has a superior surface, anterior surface, medial surface and a lateral surface. Here we have the ulnar tuberosity, which is a roughened area at the upper end. Then we have the shaft of ulna. The shaft of ulna has 3 borders and 3 surfaces. Firstly, we have the anterior border. The anterior border begins from the ulnar tuberosity and terminates here. It begins and it terminates over the styloid process lower down here. So if we trace it, this is the anterior border. As you can see, this is the ulnar tuberosity and here it goes down and terminates at the styloid process. Second, we have the lateral border, which is the sharpest of all. This is the lateral border. Thirdly, we have the posterior border. Posterior border starts from this apex of this triangular area from here and it terminates at the base of the styloid process. So we have 3 borders: anterior border, lateral border or interosseous border and posterior border here. Now we have 3 surfaces. Anterior surface is between the anterior border and lateral border. This is the lateral border and this is the anterior border. So this is the anterior surface actually between the anterior and the lateral border. It bears a nutrient foramen. If you can appreciate, there is a hole here which is a nutrient foramen. It provides nutrition via nutrient artery. Then we have medial surface, which is between the anterior border and the posterior border here. So this is the posterior border here, this is the anterior border here and this is the medial surface. Third and last, we have the posterior surface, which is between the lateral sharp border and the posterior border here. So this is the posterior surface. We have anterior surface, we have medial surface and we have posterior surface here. Coming towards the lower end, we have the head of ulna and a downward projection which is bit broken here. There is a downward projection over here which is known as the styloid process. So head and styloid process comprises the lower end of ulna. Now we are going to discuss about few attachments of ulna. Few muscles gets inserted here, few gets arise or originates from here, and we have few attachments other than those. So starting with the insertions, first of all we have triceps brachii. It gets inserted over the rough part of the superior surface of olecranon. So here we have the olecranon and we have the superior part, roughened part. So this is the rough part of the rough superior surface of olecranon. So triceps brachii gets inserted here. Second, we have brachialis. It gets inserted over the anterior surface of coronoid process and ulnar tuberosity. So this is ulnar tuberosity and this is the anterior surface of coronoid process. So here brachialis gets inserted. Third, we have anconeus. Anconeus gets inserted over the lateral aspect of olecranon process and upper 1/4 of the posterior shaft. So this is the posterior shaft here, and this is the lateral aspect of olecranon process. Here anconeus gets inserted. Coming over the origins of muscles originating from ulna. First of all, we have a supinator crest here, if you all can see, just below the radial notch. This is the radial notch, and we have a crest over here, a prominence like a crest. This is known as supinator crest. So supinator muscles arises from this crest. Second, we have flexor digitorum superficialis. Flexor digitorum superficialis arises from the tubercle at medial side of coronoid process. This is the coronoid process. Here there is a tubercle. So flexor digitorum superficialis arises from this tubercle. Third, we have pronator teres. It arises from medial margin of coronoid process. So this is the medial margin of coronoid process. From here, pronator teres arises. Fourth, we have flexor digitorum profundus. Flexor digitorum profundus arises from different parts. So first of all, it arises from upper 3/4 of anterior and medial surface. Here it's the anterior surface and the medial surface. So upper 3/4 of anterior and medial surfaces. Then it arises from medial surface of coronoid and olecranon process. Olecranon process and coronoid process. So medial surface, this and this. And it also arises from posterior border of the shaft. So here we have the posterior border of the shaft. Now we have pronator quadratus. It arises from the oblique ridge on the lower anterior surface. If you can see, this is the anterior border and this is the anterior surface here. This is the place from where pronator quadratus arises. Now we have flexor carpi ulnaris. It arises from medial side of olecranon process. This is the olecranon process. This is its medial side. So flexor carpi ulnaris arises from this side. Now we have extensor carpi ulnaris. It arises from the posterior border again at the back. Now we have lateral part of posterior surface gives origin from above downwards. Now lateral part, this is the lateral part of posterior surface. It gives origin to 3 muscles. So this is the lateral part of posterior surface. It gives origin to 3 muscles from above downwards: abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus, and extensor indicis. Abductor pollicis longus, extensor pollicis longus, and extensor indicis. Now there are few other attachments as well. First of all, there is an interosseous membrane which gets attachment over the interosseous border, which is also known as a lateral border. Now oblique cord which gets attached over the ulnar tuberosity. This is the ulnar tuberosity. Oblique cord gets attachment over here. Capsular ligament of elbow joint is attached to the coronoid and olecranon process. Coronoid and olecranon process. So capsular attachment gets attached over here. Annular ligament which gets attached to the radial notch. This is the radial notch. Ulnar collateral ligament which gets attachment with the styloid process. You can see the styloid process here, which is a bit broken here. And lastly, we have articular disc of inferior radioulnar joint. Inferior radioulnar joint is formed over here. This is ulna. Next to it will be the radius. So articular disc of that joint is present or is attached with between the styloid process. Just lateral to the styloid process, there is a rough area where articular disc of inferior radioulnar joint gets attachment. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are going to discuss about radius. Radius is the lateral bone of forearm. It's homologous with tibia of the lower limb. It is a long bone. It consists of an upper end, a shaft, and a lower end. Upper end consists of a head, a neck, a radial tuberosity, while this is the shaft. The lower end is expanded sideways and somewhat triangular. The upper end consists of the head, which is disc shaped and concave superiorly. It articulates with the capitulum of the humerus, forming the elbow joint. The circumference of the head is also articular, and it articulates with the radial notch present on the ulnar bone, forming the superior radio-ulnar joint. Then we have a narrow neck. Lower down we have a prominence known as radial tuberosity. It has two parts. If you can see, this is the colored part, which is the rough part if you feel it, and an anterior smooth part where there is no color. So an anterior smooth part and a posterior rough part. This was about the upper end. Then comes the shaft. The shaft has three borders and three surfaces. We have an anterior border, a medial border, and a posterior border. The anterior border extends or begins from anterior part of the radial tuberosity. It gets oblique in its upper part, and then it ends lower down to the near to the styloid process, where it forms a crest or a ridge. So the anterior border is somewhat oblique in its upper part and vertical in the lower part. Then we have a medial border, which is the sharpest of all. If you can appreciate, this is the sharpest border. It is known as the medial or interosseous border. It extends from the radial tuberosity, and then lower down it forms the posterior surface or the posterior of the ulnar notch. This is the ulnar notch. Then we have a posterior border. Posterior border is only appreciated at its middle 1/3. We cannot trace it upwards or downwards. So this is the posterior border actually. Now we come to the surfaces. We have an anterior surface, a posterior surface, and a lateral surface. Anterior surface lies between the anterior border and the medial border. So this is the anterior surface. Then we have a posterior surface, which is between the medial border and the posterior border. So this is the posterior surface. And then we have the lateral surface. Lateral surface lies between the anterior border and the posterior border. So anterior surface, medial surface, and a lateral surface. Now we come to the lower end. The lower end is somewhat triangular and expanded sideways. It has 5 surfaces. An anterior surface, which is smooth, forming a thick prominent ridge anteriorly. Then we have medial surface, which possesses ulnar notch. Then we have a lateral surface which extends downwards, forming the styloid process. Then we have a posterior surface which bears 4 grooves for the attachment of extensor tendons. And lastly, we have an inferior surface. Inferior surface comprises of a triangular area and a quadrangular area. Triangular area articulates with the scaphoid bone, while the quadrangular area articulates with the leonid bone. This was all about radius. Now we are going to discuss about insertions and origins of muscles, which takes place from the radius. So few muscles gets inserted here and few gets arises from here. First of all, we'll talk about biceps brachii. Biceps brachii gets inserted at the rough part of this tuberosity. So this is the radial tuberosity. Biceps brachii gets inserted over here. Then we have supinator. Supinator gets inserted and on the upper 1/3 of the lateral surface. Then we have pronator teres, which gets inserted into the middle 1/3 of the lateral surface, and lastly we have brachioradialis, which gets inserted into the lower 1/3 of the lateral surface. So on the lateral surface we have three muscles: supinator, upper 1/3, pronator teres, middle 1/3, and brachioradialis, lower 1/3. Then we have another muscle that is known as pronator quadratus, which gets inserted into the lower half of the anterior surface and the medial triangular part. So pronator quadratus gets inserted over the anterior surface here and the medial part. Now we come to the origins, or the muscles which arises from radius. So firstly we have flexor digitorum superficialis. It arises from the anterior oblique line, or the anterior border which we discussed, which is oblique in the upper side. So flexor digitorum superficialis gets its origin from here. Then we have flexor pollicis longus, which arises from the upper 2/3 of the anterior surface. So this was the anterior surface. Flexor pollicis longus arises from here. Then we have adductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis, which arises from the posterior surface. So here is the posterior surface. Now we come to some other few attachments, which include the oblique cord. Oblique cord gets attached over the medial side of the tuberosity. This is the medial side of the tuberosity. Then we have articular capsule. Articular capsule is present over the anterior and posterior of the inferior surface. So this is the inferior surface, anterior and posterior. We have the articular capsule attached here. Then we have articular disc of inferior radioulnar joint. It is also towards the lower border of ulnar notch here. Then we have extensor retinaculum. Extensor retinaculum also gets attached at the lower part of the sharp anterior border. Then we have interosseous membrane. As its name indicates, interosseous membrane gets attached to the lower part of the interosseous border or the medial border. As we discussed, we have few grooves over the posterior surface. So we'll discuss about their passages. First groove is present between the styloid process and the sharp anterior border. So this is the sharp anterior border and this is the styloid process. First groove, this is the first groove, and it gives passage to abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. First groove. Then we have the second groove, which is present between the styloid process and the dorsal tubercle. Here we can see a prominence which is known as dorsal tubercle of Lister. So the groove between the styloid and the dorsal tubercle is the second groove, which gives passage to the extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis. Then we have the third groove, which gives passage to extensor pollicis longus tendon. And then we have the fourth groove lastly, which gives passage to tendons of extensor digitorum, extensor indicis, posterior interosseous nerve, and anterior interosseous artery. At the lower end of radius and ulna, here at the lower end of radius and ulna, passes tendon of extensor digiti minimi. Thank you.